Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Teri Hunter. I'm an intuitive astrologer, and I'm here today to talk about the nodes of the moon shifting into the Aries Libra axis until January 11th, 2025. They will shift this evening at approximately 10 p.m. Pacific time, and today, I should have said, is July 17th, 2023. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to talk a little bit about the dynamic of the Aries Libra axis and what this influence is going to offer us as souls with karmic choices. I personally do not believe that karma is something that happens to us, but rather literally a choice that sets a trajectory of experiences. So what I'm going to do is first I'm going to talk about the axis, and then I'm going to go through each one of the signs. And I'm going to talk about what house this is going to influence. It's going to influence an axis. So say if you are an Aries, the North Node will be in your first house and the South Node will be in your seventh house. And we'll be going around the zodiac that way. This is based on whole sign Western astrology. So if you do not know what your rising sign is, you can go to any one of the free birth calculators on the internet. You just need your exact time of birth and location. I also want to say that I believe, now we're talking about the moon's nodes, but I personally, as an intuitive astrologer, believe that the moon is a very, very powerful energy for our co-creation with the universe. So when we're feeling challenged in our emotional body, we effort in our actions to manifest. When we feel faithful and excited and inspired, our actions are much more effortless. So I believe that this is partially the influence that's happening because we're talking about the moon's nodes. So let's jump in. Oh, one other thing I wanted to say. If you hear banging in the background, and I tested the video, you shouldn't be able to hear it, but my neighbor next door has had a plumbing issue, and they're replacing something. They've been banging, and the sound of shattering porcelain's been going on all morning. So please excuse me if you hear that. All right. So let's jump in. What does it mean? What is exactly the moon's nodes? The moon's nodes are a point. It's a point when the moon's nodes are crossing the ecliptic, which is the sun's path around the earth. This indicates a soul's imprint. When an astrologer is looking to do a past life chart, they're going to look at the south node in your natal chart and the ruler of the south node, where that is placed in your natal chart, and that's going to start the information that will let us know your soul's imprint. So when we're talking about the sun, we're talking about how we project ourselves out into the world, how I believe that people view us. And when we talk about the moon, we're talking about the inner world, the world that the part of our inner emotional body that the world does not see. So this path crossing is sort of, to me, and the reason we call it karmic or fate is because there's a view of what we want the world to see about us versus how we feel on the inside about ourselves. And when we're talking about the Aries Libra axis, we're talking about Aries representing the self and Libra representing partnership, cooperation, interacting with others. So this is a very powerful influence. The North Node, or as they call it in ancient astrology, Rahu, is a point that we are stretching to experience. It is not natural to us. It is not easily implemented, and yet it's something that our soul and our heart craves to experience. And the South Node, or what we call Ketu, is a point of habit. It can represent the soul's imprint, a habit of beliefs, a habit of behaviors, a habit. It's almost like a default. So when we're looking at the nodes and what they're asking of us in any sign is to stretch for the North Node's highest vibration. When we were in Taurus, we were stretching to feel our sense of accomplishment through our own skills, to create our own resources, to reconcile much of our family history, and to address our self-worth. And when we were experiencing the South Node in Scorpio, we were asked to allow for the letting go, quote unquote, the release of any codependencies that can be represented through the Scorpio energy. So we're going to see that same dynamic going on as we move into the Aries Libra axis. Aries North Node, we're going to be stretching for a sense of individuality, independence, a sense of passion, a sense of feeling excitement and drive and motivation to birth an authentic version of ourselves here in the 3D world. And the South Node in Libra is going to represent where we have potentially habitually given up our power to be cooperative to the collective, to the cooperative to the relationship, cooperative to the partnership. Libra is the first sign that we meet that does not have a living and breathing symbol. It's the sign of the scales. So as we walk through the South Node in Libra, we are being kind of offered an opportunity to see the wisdom of the up and the down, to not try to seek constant balance, but to be flexible as the chapters of our lives bring in new experiences, new people, new dynamics, new beliefs, new opportunities to create. And in opening a new opportunity, some old dynamics may shift into a less prominent role in your life. So I think this is really powerful. The dynamic of Aries North Node is really to develop the traits of independence, self-awareness, trusting your instincts, to have courage, to be constructive in your actions towards your goals, to work in moderation of overgiving to others, and to nurture and to develop your self-love. In many ways, it's about stretching to understand your anger, because if you look at Aries as the hot-headed warrior, because oftentimes it's referred to that way, there can also be this sense of when we go to the Libra axis, part of that hot-headedness could be because we have been over giving, we have been focusing on others, worrying more about other people's opinions, being Mr. or Mrs. Nice, being very focused in on things being fair. The Libra energy is really very, very powerful in this axis. And we look at the Libra energy in its most challenged form, because what we're doing is we are seeking the balance. And the Aries energy that we're stretching for is that individuality. So it's not natural during this axis. So if we're looking at Taurus and we're looking at the axis of where this is happening, it would be in your 12th house and your 6th house. So the 6th house is where the Libra will be, and the 12th house will be what you're stretching for. I'm not going to go into Taurus just yet because I'm not done talking about the aspects. But what I wanted to reflect in this is that each one of us on the axis will have a different focus. The theme will be the same, the Aries theme of stretching for your independence, seeking to take action on passion, to be aware of your tit for tat energy, because the Libra energy is really the more prominent energy, or the South Node energy is the more prominent energy as we walk through these influences. So when we look at the Aries North Node, we are really seeing the Libra energy wanting more fairness in relationships, wanting to experience the support of a partner, wanting to foster happiness in the form of harmony and the form of diplomatic relations with others. When we look at what this is going to offer us as we move into the Aries energy. This is really not about being selfish, but it is about developing the self, which may appear selfish to those who have depended upon you to be a certain role in their life or to perform a certain energy within their lives. And so the South Node in Libra is going to ask you to be willing to release any of those out of balance dynamics, partnerships, relationships where you are not receiving as much as you are giving. And this is a little scary often for us because we fear that if we give up just a little bit of something that's nurturing us, something that isn't quite fulfilling us, but we feel there's elements of that. We fear that there will be nothing. So oftentimes the human will take crumbs instead of requesting a full loaf. So here, I think this is really important to be aware of because the true imprint is the South Node in Libra. To acquiesce my wants and desires for the other person, to give so much of myself that I actually feel depleted. And that's where the Libra becomes passive aggressive, where the Libra becomes in some ways it can become more attached to how the partnership, how your home, how your luxurious environment, it's how it's painting a picture for other people. Whether or not you're actually happy is a whole different story. So this dynamic right now, and any personal plans that are in your house of Libra are going to be up for review, reconciliation, and reevaluation. And so I want you to start to think of this as an exciting thing, because when we recognize an energy that is no longer viable for our happiness, or an energy that has expired, for lack of a better term, it opens a space for the universe to bring something more aligned in. And when I think about the people who would resonate with this material, I think that you have been working on your awareness, working on your spiritual journey. So this is a real opportunity to get very passionate about that expression of yourself. And Aries as the hero, the pioneer, the brave one, the one who is willing to walk into the unknown and trust their gut. When you think about a warrior, or you think about somebody who's breaking new ground, say they're going through a jungle or through a dense forest, the awareness of all their senses, not being so in their head that they're trying to plot a course, but rather allowing themselves to be aware of what's going around them and instinctually act, is what we're talking about here. And I also want to offer this because I think on this axis as a world community, Aries is very much representing individual thought. Aries does rule the head. It doesn't rule the mind per se, because we see that in Mercury. But if Mercury is in Aries, this would be very interesting for you, because I think with everything that's been going on over the last few years with the Buggly Wugglies 2.0, 5.6, whatever it is, and all the fear-based information that's been coming at us, I believe that the South Node in Scorpio was teeing us up to be more discerning in information, to not just suck it down as if it is martial law because it's on a network or it's being presented by a certain politician. So I think this is a very strong part of this dynamic over the next year and a half. I know I live in the United States. The United States has an Aries 5th house, which makes Libra the 11th house. And I think that this is going to be very powerful for us to be egoless to the world community as we assert ourselves in new, more creative and loving ways as a country. So I think this is going to be powerful. And we also know that Chiron has been transiting through Aries for quite some time. So we're going to see the North Node at some point over the next year and a half. I didn't look up the actual date, cross over that point. And I think that's going to be a real powerful moment. And I think that it's going to be a defining moment, because those of that have been making intentional choices, been brave and willing to venture into their own passions, their own dreams, are going to feel the reward that is offered through Chiron's transformation versus exasperating the wound. So I hope that was clear. Let's see. Overall, Aries North Node wants to experience happiness, harmony, fairness, and support in a partnership, yet they want to achieve the me, the individuality, the unique expression within the we, the partnership, the Libra energy. And they also want to be able to do their own thing and yet still be able to trust that the support of a partner is still there. I think trust is going to become a real powerful energy. And I think that's as we trust our inner voice, it'll help us to trust our outer experience. So let me jump into the accesses right now. And I want to offer this too, because in this particular video, I'm not going to address any nodal returns, because I personally have my South Node in Aries in my natal chart. My North Node is in Libra, and I will experience a reverse return. So this is also another powerful point. If indeed your North Node is in Aries, there's going to be a very, very strong pull to individualize yourself, to express yourself, to be real with yourself. And the South Node will obviously be conjunct your natal South Node. So this is going to be a real awareness of your imprint, of your patterned unconscious belief system and way of acting. So the awareness of this will give you an opportunity to write your own destiny. Now, I wanted to say a lot of people are talking about the nodes as fate, which is on some level accurate. And yet at the same time, when we look at the idea of fate or destiny, we think something is out of our control. I do not believe that is true. I believe we are always co-creating with the universe and with those that we interact with. So the awareness of that will allow us to take our intentions and our motivations and our choices and to focus them in a way that is saying to the universe, I am co-creating in a conscious way. And that will very much kick in the laws of attraction. The next step will be for you to allow for whatever release, whatever situations spirit and yourself has deemed no longer in what's the word I want to use? Supporting your endeavors, encouraging your endeavors, because some of the relationships, depending upon the house that you're is being affected, could be very intimate relationships. And yet the intimacy of the relationship does not necessarily need to suffer during this shift, because the awareness of your wants and desires will allow you or offer you an opportunity through the Libra energy to express yourself diplomatically, to be open-hearted and cooperative, and yet at the same time claiming yourself as somebody who came here to create, to build in the 3D world and to feel the magic of that manifestation. So let's jump in. We will start with our Aries rising. Again, if it's an Aries moon, I think this is very powerful in any personal planets, because this is going to, the North Node being in the house of self, is going to really bring up a lot of energy about who am I, what am I, how am I operating in the world, am I living my best life, am I inadvertently giving up what it is I want in in hopes of being cooperative, because the South Node is going to enter Libra, which is your 7th house of professional partnerships, of intimate partnerships. It can also, in many ways, for some of you, represent your work. You could be you could be a diplomat, you could be a police officer, you could be a civil servant, you could be a counselor of some kind. And you may find that some of the relationships that you up until now have nurtured have actually been out of balance. And because of that, they're going to take a back seat. Some of them may end completely, and yet Spirit will offer you an opportunity to bring in partnerships that are more aligned with the balancing energy of your Aries pioneer, your bravery, your I think this is really powerful because Aries has also just finished a Jupiter transit, and Jupiter going through your 1st house was offering you new beliefs about yourself, an expansion of who and what you are. I personally am an Aries rising, and I very much feel as if in this axis, because it's going to hit it's already going to be conjunct my rising sign. The North Node is going to start off at 29 degrees. As we know, the nodes move backwards from the planets. And I feel like this is an opportunity for me personally to truly stand in my authentic expression, to not homogenize myself in any way to please others. And I feel as if this is a key theme that's going to be going on for my Aries risings. It's going to be the me and the we. And I don't want to say versus the we, because I don't want to turn it into some sort of tug of war, but rather an opportunity to build a bridge so that you can celebrate your uniqueness, celebrate your sense of adventure as you invite others to join you, and you really start to recognize where inadvertently you may have in your partnerships, you may have inadvertently given up more than your fair share in order to not have to confront a situation that has not served your heart. And now there's going to be an opportunity to address that, but from an interior place, asking yourself, does this serve me? Does this fulfill me? Am I feeling an even exchange or almost even exchange of energy within my partnerships? It's very much the partnership focus. And unfortunately, maybe some people's partnerships will end altogether, but I would suspect that this would not be news. It doesn't feel unexpected. It feels transitional, as if there maybe have been evidence of this coming, and now this shift in the nodes brings it into the forefront. For my Tauruses, this is in the 12th and the 6th house axis. The Aries North Node will be in your 12th house. The 6th house will be where your South Node is. Now, this axis is traditionally the axis of health and mental health. So I think very much the Aries energy in your 12th house is going to be an opportunity to individualize yourself from any ancestral energies that are still affecting your decision making. The 12th house is where we do not feel seen. And so I feel as if, and the challenging thing about Taurus is that it can be a little bit stubborn. Okay. It moves very slowly and wants to kind of get to know you, become familiar with the situation. We think of Taurus as the quiet energy, the silent one. Here, I think the Aries, being your 12th house, is going to encourage you to be brave about what you're silent about. And I don't know that this bravery is about talking to others as much as it's an interior job. It's like looking at where your story, your karmic imprint has been repeating itself over and over again. And in the 6th house here, while this is a point of health and of well-being, it's also the house of where we are of service to others. And I feel as if this release or this letting go that Libra South Node represents is any out of balance relationships where you have been over delivering. And this could very well be within your work environment. And maybe having the North Node in your first house for the last year and a half has allowed you or offered you an opportunity to use your skills to individualize how you make your resources and money. And now the time will be to implement that. The 12th house is a house of great creativity. It's ruled naturally by Pisces. It rules dance, poetry. It rules photography, filmography. It rules spirituality in many ways. And, you know, when I use that word, it feels like such a broad term, but spirituality being a study, a practice of self-awareness. I want to offer it there because it's time alone. It's time where we meditate. It's also a house that represents retreats. So when we think of this being Aries, this is about you being brave, about your own ancestral imprint, about what you need in the way of developing and how do I want to phrase it? It's not just developing, it is implementing. Because as the South Node goes to your 6th house, you could find that some of your old sources of income shift. And the bravery of you implementing the skills that you were garnishing or developing or nurturing during this for the North Node in your first house, and Jupiter's in your first house as well during this process for most of it. So I really feel as if this is an opportunity for you to expand on your dreams, to expand on a deeper sense of yourself that you may not show to other people. That 12th house is a very private place. It's the place where we sleep and dream. It's the place where we, you know, create alone. And so here, I think the Aries is asking you to be brave in that. And if you feel disruption taking place in your 6th house energy, and even if it is even your health, if you're feeling depleted, I think that could potentially be not actually your physical body, but your physical body alerting you to the work you've been previously doing is not serving your future. And you may want to think about shifting that into something that's more aligned to creating peace and harmony for you. The 6th house is also our pets. So, you know, there is the potential of I don't even want to go there, to be honest with you, because, you know, we all have a life cycle, and depending upon the age of your pet, there could be a crossing in the next year and a half or so. Lucky is a Pisces. Saturn's going through the sign of his sun, and I've noticed him aging a little bit, but I'm still bucking for him to, you know, hit that 17, 18, 19-year-old dog. He's only 11 now. So anyway, Taurus, I think this is really, when we look at your 6th house of Libra, this is an opportunity for you to be really, really authentic with what you do to make money, and not just make money to provide security. Libra is your Venus is a co-ruler of Libra, meaning it rules Taurus and it rules Libra. And I think that in this time, you have an opportunity to be egoless as to what brings you comfort, what makes you feel harmonic, what makes you feel a sense of peace inside of yourself. And if for some reason your work is not doing that, it could be also creating stress, which is not good for your health. So if for some reason those situations erode, end, shift in a way where they're not prominent, then something will come in that's more authentic, and you get to trust that. Gemini, Aries is your 11th house, and Libra is your 5th house. So this is really an opportunity. immediately I thought to myself, for my Geminis, the 11th house is a Nupachaya house. It rules my hopes and my dreams. It is co-ruled by Saturn, but naturally. So there's opportunity for reward as I individualize myself and express myself uniquely within the conscious collective, in my networks, in my large social circles. The fifth house is asking you to be egoless in your self-expression, to be, sort of, I don't want to say raw, but it kind of feels a little bit raw, as if I'm just going to put myself out there in the vibration that best suits how I feel comfortable within myself, and then allow the universe to bring a natural law of attraction, relatable tribe to you. The fifth house is one where we look at the conception of children. It's a house that rules high school age children. It's a house of romance. It's a house of personal pleasure and fun. And here, I believe for my Geminis that the Libra energy is asking you on some level to be egoless to the dynamics which bring into your life those more frivolous energies. I kind of think of Gemini as really working hard, constantly rolling around the zodiac, dispensing information, making sure everybody knows what's going on, communicating, teaching, writing, all of those things. So here in the fifth house, it may be this whole axis is about Gemini actually, rather than looking out to everybody else or the twins, but about you as an individual. How, again, Aries North Node in my 11th house, how do I express my individuality out into my network? And at the same time, the Libra South Node is asking me on some level to be egoless about that expression. And I think that might be best served by implementing more joyful things that you find relaxing, entertaining, take the pressure off. I used to work in Hollywood when I was younger, and the writers would always take a walk after lunch. And it wasn't because they were tired from the food. It was where they would discuss the ideas of the afternoon, and they would allow themselves this sort of moving conversation, aka, and I want to say for Gemini, a moving meditation. You may find that your fifth house of creativity, of romance, is if you have had issues, which most people have, and your heart's been hurt and you've been put it on hold, maybe this is an opportunity for you not to go back to your old story, but to start to believe in romance again. Again, we can imprint the Libra partnership dynamic onto this fifth house as well. So if for some reason you've been single for a long time and you have been really wanting a relationship, but you haven't said anything, you've been keeping kind of quiet because you've been dashed too many times, or you're feeling like you're, obsolete in some way, this is an opportunity to be, renewed in that endeavor, to be brave in that endeavor, and to really define what it is you want versus defining it in relation to what you can see or what you've experienced. So I think that's really powerful. For my Cancers, this axis is Aries is your 10th house of career, and Libra is your 4th house of home. This could be very interesting because while you naturally rule the 4th house, and that 4th house is where you nurture others, where you put a roof over other people's heads, where you interact with family, home, and hearth. And the 10th house is really kind of a house about how I'm putting myself out into the world in the form of my career. How am I showing leadership? What am I building in the material? This is an opportunity for you to be brave about what you want to build in the material. And in some respects, it may require you to be egoless about your home environment. So let me offer it this way. Cancer, in order to get that great new dream job, you need to move to the location where that dream job is. And while you'd like to be home with all the friends you've had your whole life, living in your hometown, you may have to be egoless in your willingness to give up that dynamic so that you can pursue something that is aligned to a more authentic version of how you want to be seen in the public eye. It could even represent, for Cancer, getting married. Being egoless within the partnership that would take you into a move. The 10th house is a change, is where people see your public status. So if you were single, they would be aware of you getting married. That's a change of status. If you were childless and you have a child, this would bring a child in, or the child would change your status. So somewhere, and I somehow think that this could be for those of you that are not in established marriages yet, you could end up meeting your partner, and that meeting of the partnership would require you to move into a new location, which would in some ways take you away from everything that was familiar to you, that brought, a sense of peace to you. It may also be that in many respects you have given up yourself to the family, to the dynamic in your 4th house, and the North Node is encouraging you to take the next level of nurturing your family by individualizing yourself so that you can express your own creativity, your own sense of leadership, your own sense of again, building something out into the material world so that others can witness your personal joy. Again, Aries is a house of self. So this is really a theme of self-awareness. What do I need? How courageous will I be to allow my achievements to be as important as it is nurturing other people's achievements? So I think this is very powerful. For my Leos, Aries is your 9th house and Libra is your 3rd house. This could very much change your everyday activities. A lot of the friends, networks, your siblings, there could be a change in those dynamics. And the change more than likely could be also your belief about them. Either, sometimes in certain chapters of our life, certain communities are important to us, or certain groups are important to us. And then as we evolve beyond those chapters, new groups, new energies come in, because the 9th house is a diverse house, a house of travel, a house of literally, leaving potentially one's own country and going to a new country. So Aries is also the pioneer, breaking ground, going into new territories. We can see Leo potentially developing a whole new belief system. Again, paying attention to the personal planets that are within this axis will give you a deeper level of information and detail about how this will play out for you. The 9th house also is a house of the connection to the angelic realm. So what you may find for my Leos is that you're more willing to be aware of how your mind inadvertently is connected to your partnerships, your everyday activities, the people in your everyday life. And now you're stretching to allow yourself a broader perception of that, less worry about what the everyday person is thinking about your activities. It could also be a complete change of groups. I really want to say that. I almost feel as if like you're, let's say you're a mom or a parent, and your kid is in grammar school. And during this shift, they may end up going into a whole new school, which is bringing in a whole new group of people. And you won't really be interacting with those other people as much. There's definitely going to be some sort of opportunity for you to look at your 3rd house interactions and determine whether or not they are moving you towards what you want or anchoring you to a story that has kind of worn itself out. All right, let's go on to our Virgos. Virgo, Aries is your 8th house and Libra is your 2nd house. So in many ways, this is going to offer you an opportunity to use your skills, your talents, your great gift for analyzation and process and of making a plan and getting things done. I feel like any energies that you have felt were key in the partnership for your resources is going to shift, because Aries in your 8th house is about being you and knowing that you have the power to create the 8th house dynamics. Mars naturally in ancient times ruled Scorpio, which rules the 8th house. And now we see Aries, which is ruled by Mars, being your 8th house. It's very much about being brave and courageous, about being willing to look where you've been a little bit maybe too quick to move, too quick to judge, too quick to move into how do I want to phrase this? I feel as if the Libra 2nd house is revealing to you an opportunity to use your talents, frankly. And stretching into the north node of the 8th house is really more about individualizing yourself versus depending upon other people for your resources. I feel like this is taking the bull by the horns. This is where you allow yourself to be powerful and you allow yourself to expand and you allow yourself to go to places where you understand your deep imprint. And in doing so, you get to be 2nd house is like allowing things to sort of take a back seat, the back seat of your story, your family history, your fear or your unsureness about your skills. This is a real step into the unknown for Virgo, because you're not really going to be able to plan as much as you think you might be able to. I don't know that you're going to be able to take the old template and move that template into a new chapter. So the Aries energy is offering you an opportunity to write a new story, to be brave in that transformation and to release the shackles of any chains that have bound you to responsibility or to even you're letting others depend on you in a way that is no longer allowing the authenticity of you to blossom, to expand, and to grow. Because the 8th house is a money access. So somewhere this Virgo energy or your Virgo energy is asking you to stretch for the transformation of trusting that there is more for you when you reevaluate the relationships in your life and whether or not they are serving your future or tethering you to your past, because the 2nd house rules our family history. Libra, Aries is your 7th house and Libra is your 1st house. So here, this is very interesting because we're seeing that the South Node transiting through your 1st house is asking you to be egoless in how you have shown up previously. The shadow side of this transit is worrying about other people too much, being more focused on what other people think about you than you think about yourself, to be kind of overly attached to fairness. And when fairness is not implemented, feeling a sense of resentment about it. When we look at Aries as your 7th house, this indicates relationships that are based on individuality. And this feels very much as if there is an opportunity for you to stretch even more into your individuality. I, being a Libra sun and an Aries rising, always focus in on two me's make a great we versus the infusion of two energies together in order to be a partnership. So I think that here what's going to happen is that while you're used to taking pride in your relationships, used to taking pride in your fairness, used to taking pride in creating beautiful things, this may be an opportunity to re-examine if you're doing all those things so that other people will approve of you and applaud you, and now allow allowing yourself your own unique expression, and then allowing the universe to bring those that align with that unique expression. There's a lot about evolving going on here, a lot about allowing for things to expand and to grow, and to trust that your sense of independence and self-acceptance fuels and feeds you more than it erodes you. That this is the one little shadow side of Libra. You know, they talk about it being indecisive because they're giving up. But what do you want to do, honey? Where do you want to live? And so this is an opportunity for you to say, this is what I want. And this is what makes me happy. And as I am happy and allowing myself to be birthed, I then create a more healthy relationship with my partnerships. Now, Scorpio, we see the North Node moving into your 6th house of Aries, and the South Node is in your 12th house of Libra. I don't know if you can hear that banging, but it's very loud all of a sudden, so I'm trying to speak up a little bit. Scorpio, the Aries 6th house is really asking you to release the shackles that have held you back from expressing yourself. Aries energy, the energy of Mars, is familiar to Scorpio because Mars co-rules you. It's also very much asking you to take your health by the horns, because I believe that if you have any sort of, if you've been a Scorpio that has inadvertently given up your power, you have wanted to, infuse yourself with others, this has been an erosive energy for you. And here it's asking you to take the bull by the horns, to really look at your 6th house activities. Am I taking good care of my physical apparatus? Am I allowing myself to endeavor work that inspires me and fuels me and gives me passion? Because that 12th house, Libra South Node, makes me feel as if something is happening that you're not aware of, that there is a sense of not feeling a sense of fairness and harmony, and not feeling a sense of partnership, not feeling a sense of being seen. The 12th house is very much a house that we spend time alone. And if we think about the Scorpio energy rules the toxic waste within our bodies and the toxic issues that poison our sense of self. So here, Spirit is saying, or I shouldn't say Spirit, the nodes here are asking you to be willing to look at your ancestral pattern of maybe you're not seeing you. And in order for you to really express that 6th house energy, you have to implement, or you get to implement, a sense of I am important and my wants and my desires are important. This would very much be an access where Scorpio is not standing in its highest power, where that 12th house Libra is something that's a blind spot. I can't see a lack of support in my partnerships. I can't feel that that sense of encouragement. Scorpio is a very powerful, savory sign, and to me, it's a very you're on your own sign. And your ruling planet, Pluto, has been going through Capricorn for quite some time. It's having this last few months in that sign, really. It'll dip its toe a little bit back, in next year or so. But for the most part, we're really feeling that deconstruction. So as you surrender to the deconstruction of the Capricorn energy in your life, you can now really implement this South Node, the spiritual aspect of that 12th house, a connection, a partnership with your divine team, your heavenly hosts, those that shepherd you through this life. I have, in my meditations, moved further and further from thinking I have guides, but rather that I have shepherds that hold space for me as I experience this human dynamic. I don't think those that watch over us are really meant to guide us. I think we already have a soul's intention, and they hold space for us to walk through that experience. All right, for my Sagittariuses, Aries is your fifth house of children, of romance, of individual expression, of fun and pleasure and enjoyment. And the 11th house is your Libra house. So in some ways, this is an energy asking you to be egoless in your cooperation within your networks and rather express yourself individually to allow your unique voice to be heard. The fifth house is, to me, it's the most fun house, traditionally, the house of Leo. And here we have the Aries imprint of passionate endeavors, of adventures, of exploration in some ways. And so as you allow your natural Sagittarian energy to be capitalized upon, here, Aries, this is going to create a trine for your first house. So I think this is super powerful as you continue to be aware of this opportunity of being a pioneer, an adventurer, of actually kind of thinking that being selfish is not actually selfish, but selfless, because it offers an invitation to my 11th house network to join me, to be brave like me, to expand. When we think about the 11th house, it's the collective consciousness. It's the World Wide Web. There could very well be an opportunity for my Sagittarians where initially, as you have birthed yourself in your network, maybe you've received criticism, maybe you have not felt, a warm, fuzzy connection. And now this is about continuing that brave endeavor as those that you fear won't like you fall away and those that align with you come into play. And Libra by nature is an energy that wants to collect people. It wants everybody to be happy and loved and everything to be fair. So it's not easy for Libra to let those relationships take a back seat. So I think this is a very personal structure, the 5th and 11th house. The 11th house is your hopes and dreams. And if you are to experience your hopes and dreams, part of you gets to be egoless in your expression of yourself and not try to fill the hole of what other people would want to see you produce in your creative body. All right, Capricorn, we are looking at Aries is your 4th house and Libra is your 10th house. So here, Capricorn, you naturally rule the 10th house. So in some respects, you are being tasked with the opportunity to be egoless to how the public views you. Capricorn rules fear, it rules limitation, it rules authority in government. And there could be, and I believe there absolutely is, with Pluto having gone through your first house, a reconstruction of how you see the world. We're going from the old goat to the baby goat. The baby goat is engaging. It is I don't believe you can really look at a baby goat and not feel a sense of joy as they prance around and seem to bounce off the earth. So here, this Aries 4th house is really offering you an opportunity to be your individual self within the home environment, to, in some respects, be egoless to how other people perceive you as a parent, as a nurturer, as a provider, and to give yourself permission to know that as you build your dream home, that's what the 4th house is, then the public eye will catch up with you down the line. They'll catch up with you when you've accomplished your mission. And I feel as if your personal transformation is very powerful in leading others. And that might be another South Node in Libra, where you've been overly focused in on how others will perceive you. Your ruling planet, Saturn, is exalted in Libra. So there is this sense of there's a military feel to all of this, but it's a feel of the hero, a feel of fairness is not really about everything being equal, but understanding that my focal point is my point of attraction and my point of creativity. And as you stretch into that unique expression of yourself, and you have the courage to trust yourself, and your self-love and your self-nurturing is actually going to provide for others. And instead of giving to them and providing for them, they will learn from you how to nurture. They will experience that and take it on naturally as a trait. I think this is super powerful and very transformative for my Capricorns. For my Aquariuses, Aries is your 3rd house and Libra is your 9th house. I believe that what you're stretching for here, Aquarius, is that while Aries is very individualistic, I believe that this is a double individualistic energy because Aquarius is so unique in nature. And I think that this is an opportunity for Aquarius to really stretch, to pioneer into that place of future technologies, future energies, future ideas, allowing those to percolate, allowing yourself to muse upon them. Because with your Libra South node, there's something about the groups and the people that you've been around. And well, the 9th house traditionally is Sagittarius and Jupiterian and very expansive. Here, I feel it's been focused on the partnerships, which feels a little bit like it closed it in. And now when I move my Aries energy, 3rd house energy, I'm being brave in my willingness to step up who I am within my community, within my sibling group, within my cousins, within how I think and what I speak of. And I think this will be an opportunity for my Aquariuses to redefine their beliefs, to cherry pick the historic beliefs that still work for you, and then to allow the beliefs that have tethered you to a smaller experience to, again, sit by the wayside, to take a back seat, to be less of a focal point as your individuality within your networks, within your space of thought. And I want to offer it this way, because as you stretch for these energies, the more challenging side of Aries seems to dissipate, because I'm excited about my passions. I'm less anxious. I'm less wanting to blow through them and rather wanting to experience them in a more meandering way. I can't help but think that, the 3rd house rules our groups, our teammates, our workmates, our everyday lives. So here I feel really strongly that Aquarius wants to live their dreams in their everyday life. And now there's a bit of you that will have to be egoless in your other partnerships, in your other relationships, in your cooperation to those other relationships in order to satisfy your individual needs, wants, and desires. And this will very much probably change how you're thinking or how you have been. It may even reduce some of your, because Aquarius rules anxiety, it may reduce anxiety because you're stepping into a more authentic energy that represents who and what you are. Okay, now finally, our Pisces. We have Aries as your 2nd house, and we have Libra as your 8th house. Now, Saturn is traversing your 1st house, really asking you to build sustainable things when it comes to yourself. Now, the Aries energy in your 2nd house is capitalizing on that. The North Node is wanting you to use your skills to express your voice, to be individualistic, to be unique, to be courageous. And this is very... I feel like the passions here really feel like they're in a creative place. They're in a place where my imagination is taking me into such realms of joy that I have no other option but to follow that joyful path. Now, the Libra 8th house is that transformational 8th house of too much dependency on others for resources, others for approval, others for applause. And I want to offer this for my Pisces, because you are sensitive by nature and because you are so compassionate compassionate to others. I feel as if any creative endeavors where you're going to use your own skills, until you've had a chance to play with them on your own, to venture out on your own, I might keep a little bit quiet about who I tell about these ventures, because I don't want to inadvertently be derailed by their concern for me. How will you do that? How will you make money? How? That eighth house by nature rules billionaires. It's naturally scorpionic, and in doing so, it reveals a deep imprint of my own personal psychology. So Pisces with Libra here, this could capitalize on your awareness of your dependency on other people's opinions and approval of your ventures. So I really think that this is a very powerful energy. And at the end of this transit, we'll see Saturn be in your first house until February 2026. So by the time this particular transit is over, the North Node will have moved into your first house. So this self-expression that you're teeing up right now over the next year and a half or so, again, today is July 17th, 2023, and this nodal axis is going to go on until January 11th, 2025. So I think this is really exciting, because the steps that you take right now to trust your skills, to trust your talents, to use your voice, to make money and to secure your future materially will really require you to be brave here in your partnerships, in defining whether they support that endeavor or they inadvertently tether you to something else. And Saturn is supporting that endeavor, whether it feels like it initially or not, because Saturn does rule limitation and restriction. So as you kind of embrace that concept, I think this will be an easier journey for you. So that's it for me for this nodal axis. I think these are very powerful times right now, and for our awareness that we create our joy. And I do truly believe that while oftentimes it feels very polarizing, those of us that are standing in awareness have more grace and compassion for ourselves. And as we continue to move ourselves into the focal point that serves our joy, we will experience that. And doing so, we will be of service to not just those around us, but to all of humanity as we raise the vibration on this planet. All right, everybody, if you'd like to get an astrology reading or an intuitive reading with me, I am available. My information is below in the description. And please join me Sunday mornings live at 11 a.m. Pacific time. That's where I do angel readings for the week ahead. We get their advice for the transits. And this is a very powerful week that we are endeavoring. So please check out the video for this week, because we've got a big yod going on during this new moon today in Cancer and the shift of the nodal axis. All right, everybody, that's it for me. Peace out.